This is without a doubt the best beginner camera that has ever been released. Here's why. Before I bought it, I tested it in real environments. I shot a full D1 women's basketball game with it. I shot a little bit of men's basketball. I even took it with me to Nashville and Illinois. I also forced myself to use an EF 50mm during the women's game just to keep it realistic and affordable. The nifty 50's maybe $50 on your local Facebook marketplace. And honestly, it didn't disappoint. Canon was kind enough to send this camera to me. All I had to do was send them $620 on Amazon. So thank you, Canon. Before I unbox it, there is one major thing that you need to understand. There's a drawback. It's not a deal breaker for me. I'm actually using it to my advantage. But if you're buying this as your main camera, you absolutely need to know this before hitting purchase. Let's open it up. Right away, it's lightweight, it's compact, it's super familiar if you ever use Canon. Flip screen, menus, small hybrid body. It feels like what it is, a beginner-friendly content creator camera. Try to say that 3 times fast. But none of that is why the camera matters. For years, if you wanted 4K at 60 frames per second in a real camera, you were stepping into R7 or R8 territory, which is roughly like $1,500 to $2,000. So you're spending significantly more. This camera closes that gap. It shoots 4K at 24, 30, and 60. And for someone who shoots sports and weddings, 4K 60 is huge. You can slow footage down to 40% cleanly without any weird interpolation, no fake motion smoothing, just smooth, usable slow motion. On top of that, it shoots in C-Log 3. Despite what you may have heard on Instagram, that does not mean better colors, it means better dynamic range. But since you do start with a flat color profile, if you get your white balance right and you have a LUT that you really like, you'll be able to get that look that you would get on the R8 or the R6 Mark III. Everything you're seeing on screen, D1 basketball, little travel footage, cinematic lifestyle shots, was filmed on this camera, but 4K 60 was not the only frame rate I tested. When I was in Nashville, I started playing around with 1080 at 120 frames per second. It was at one of our shoot-arounds before a game, and I knew that this footage was going to go straight into Instagram, so instead of shooting it all horizontal, I turned the camera sideways and shot a good amount of it vertical. That way the frame was perfect for social, and there wasn't going to be unnecessary cropping or reframing it in post. I even threw the EF 50mm back on there because I knew I was going to have a higher shutter speed, so I wanted a lower aperture about it. And honestly, for social media, I think it looked amazing. It's on screen right now. You got to let me know what you think. Not everything needs to be in cinematic 4K, okay, YouTube? Sometimes you just need clean, sharp, slow motion footage, optimized for whatever platform you're posting it on. For sports creators, highlight accounts, anything athlete related, this feature is extremely practical. And speaking of social media, I also made a few Instagram Reels and TikToks, and at one point someone requested that I rig it up, so that's exactly what I did. This camera has cages available, and once you throw one on, it changes the feel completely. I added a top handle, a side handle, a V-mount battery, an external monitor. Does that suddenly make it shoot better? No, but it does make the experience of shooting with it better, and it also makes you look cooler. It looks more professional, balances better, it's easier to grip, and the added weight stabilizes handheld shots. The top handle makes low angle movement smoother. The side handle gives me more control. The V-mount obviously extends battery life, and the monitor makes framing and exposure easier. There is a downside to that, and it's that it completely defeats the purpose of having a small, tiny camera. It becomes heavier, a little bit more expensive, and it's not as approachable for beginners. Now let's talk about that thing that you absolutely need to know before purchasing this camera. This is not a full frame sensor camera. This is an APS-C sensor camera. That literally just means that it crops in whenever you're shooting. In standard 4K at 24 and 30, you're looking about a 1.25x crop. When you switch to 4K 60, the crop jumps around to about 2.5 in total. So basically, if you're shooting with a 50mm, that turns into like 125 millimeters in 4K 60. If you have a 24 to 70 on, that practically becomes a 60 to 175. That's tight. Trust me, I know tight. That's tight. If you don't understand that before buying your lenses, you could grab the wrong lens and get frustrated that you're not getting the look that you want. Personally, this doesn't bother me, and honestly, I'm using that to my advantage. I bought this camera as a C or D camera. For weddings and sports, it's gonna be locked off on angles on a tripod in the back of a room somewhere. Could be getting tight reactions during a game. It could be capturing a bride or a groom or both. For those purposes, this camera is perfect. Now, it won't look identical to a full frame. If you had a 50mm compared to a full frame 125mm, obviously that's gonna look different. I think physics still exists, last time I checked. But for what I need it to do, it does the thing that I need it to do. As for color science, my main current camera is the R8. I got another one coming soon. Stay tuned for that. I would even argue that it beats or at least competes with the R6 Mark II. Cutting between my R8 and other older cameras that I have, like the SL3 or the M50, is a very noticeable difference. Replacing both of those with two R50Vs gives much more seamless color matching. It matters in weddings and it matters in sports highlights, baby. I was also pretty concerned about autofocus. Honestly, if it can hold up with basketball, I am not concerned about what it couldn't hold up with. Rolling shutter was manageable and honestly, not noticeable. Not to mention, C-Log3 gave me a lot of flexibility with, for one, dynamic range and also for color because my LUTs are ready to go for that kind of stuff. So who is this camera for exactly? Definitely for beginners who want an introduction into 4K 60 without having to spend $1,000. Students who want to get their first camera and maybe want to start racking up a couple lenses. You date the body, but you marry the lens. Wedding filmmakers that need reliable backup angles. Sports shooters for sure, trust me. And possibly also content creators. This camera is absolutely tiny. If you're a full-time professional, this obviously won't be your A camera, but it could be your smartest B camera. In the last few weeks, I've tested out the C70, the R6 Mark III, the R8, the R50V, the M50. I even accidentally touched a couple Sonys. I washed my hands right away. Don't worry, I washed them. If someone doesn't think that this is the best beginner camera available out of any brand that has ever came out, I will debate you and you will lose because you are wrong and I am correct. Let me know if you end up buying the camera, and if you're still here, YouTube seems to think that you'll like whatever this is, and also possibly this. YouTube is usually not wrong about these things. So either one works.